Hello and welcome to the show. For today's silly car build, I've got the classic BMW M6. You see, I was wandering through the car shop, having a look at all of the different vehicles, came across this. I'd never driven this one on Forza 6, which I thought was a shame. I think these are fantastic looking cars, so I'm going to, put lots of power in it and see how the M6 will fare around a wet circuit. Now, as far as engines go, well, the standard engine isn't bad. However, we are going to go for the 3.2 litre inline 6. Now, I do believe this is not quite as powerful on Forza 6 as it has been in previous Forza games. However, it is still pretty damn powerful. So we're still going to have, many of the horsepowers and I would hope a fair amount of speed out of this vehicle. We will want to get all of the downforce that we can. That looks like a surprisingly tall. For a Forza wing, that does look quite substantial. Maybe it's just the way that the kind of body line of the car is. I don't know. Maybe it's not as... just something about it makes it look a little bit crazier than the normal Forza Aero. I like it though. We always approve of almighty wings. Not quite Bentley GT3 levels or Hepworth levels, but still, I will... I will take it for now. Race tyres, naturally. Hopefully some 295s on the front. That is some very big tyres at the front. There's only 295s like that. Very big front tyres, actually, on here. Okay. Was not expecting that from this vehicle. Normally, you only ever see identical tyre widths, front and rear, on a four-wheel drive car. That's the most commonplace, apparently, on this M6. You have that happen as well. I do like the current PI we have for the car. It'll probably be about right with the silliness that we will get out of this. I don't know, actually. It may not quite be too difficult to drive. It is likely to be a little bit heavier, being, just a generally larger car. And with a little bit more weight when you've got 900 getting on 1,000 horsepower, that can just help a little bit with keeping the vehicle stable, I think, is the best way to put it, especially the bumps up towards turn 1 at the track that we are going to tackle. Lightweight cars have had big issues heading up that section, so this is not likely to have those problems. You do have, with the extra weight, of course, it's never quite going to accelerate as fast as the lightweight cars. 2,700 pounds. That's he's perhaps on the slightly heavier end of that that zone of, you want the car light enough to get quick acceleration, but heavy enough not to be horrendously unstable. And I would say that this is about spot on there. Now, we may be able to get some weight out with the likes of the exhaust and so on, but then the weight will also be added back on with things like intercoolers and the oil and cooling upgrades. But we should be getting sizable amounts of power, hopefully, fingers crossed, out of this engine if we eventually install the exhaust up to 656 of the horsepowers. I'm pretty sure this engine will get past 900. I'm now hoping I haven't made a silly mistake and have a underpowered car for this series where we're up into the 700 horse mark. Right, turbos, you're not quite yet. We'll put the piston on as well, or the race piston upgrade on. Turbo, please give us lots of power. That'll do. Near enough 200 horsepower from the turbo, 928 horsepower in the BMW, going up to 963. It's not quite going to crack 1,000, which is a little bit of a shame, but that is kind of what I was expecting from the vehicle. Anyway, 974 horsepower in the BMW M6. £2,759 as well. So, it's a relatively low R-Class car. Very good front tyres. We might have some really good turning to some of the slower speed corners, which could be very, very useful around this track. We may have more traction issues, but it's certainly not going to be as bad as some of the vehicles that have gone. Of course, to test out the BMW, I brought it to the Virginia International Raceway, where it will have 5 laps around the Patriot alternate layout in an attempt to go as fast as possible. Now, our current leaders, the Toyota Camry NASCAR, the Biatti Veyron, they're not likely to be threatened by the BMW, and they're up into P class. They were incredibly fast vehicles. However, there is a very crowded mid-section of the table. Sort of Aston Martin Vanquish and back, a 1.9.5, Porsche 550 Spider and so on, all in the mid to low 110s. That's perhaps where we may see the BMW fall in. That is, if it isn't horrendously uncontrollable. There is always that as a possibility. I don't think it's going to be too bad. It could be a little oversteery, but we shall have to wait and see. Good traction off the line, which is nice. We're doing 150 miles an hour from a standing start. Before we go under the brakes, we're going quicker than the Fiesta ever did. I think it's going quicker than the Maserati race car as well that set the benchmark here. I think that was only doing about 150 miles an hour. So yeah, it can certainly put the power down well off of the start line. Now we're going to have a fair bit of oversteer. Ooh, a little bit of two wheels actually. I didn't really think about rolling this car as being a concern. I don't think it really is, but it did actually just pop up onto two wheels ever so slightly as we run through here. Yeah, we have got some pretty nice turn in, even leaving it in second. We are still wanting to get some oversteer, or more oversteer up there. How much speed dare we take through this section? We're in around the 90 miles an hour. It was a little bit of a wonky line as well. I took through there, I actually braked a little early, trying to get that neat line, but it is so far all looking relatively good. In fact, the power delivery is, yeah, pretty much spot on. They don't have too many complaints, and it is certainly rocketing along here, 170 miles an hour, but I will have to jump on the brakes. Oh, brakes pretty good, actually. We have 170 miles an hour down to about, well, 50, 60 miles an hour for that first corner. That is a huge stop, and it is very nice actually getting turned through this slower section. Just as I had slightly hoped. Yeah, there is quite a lot of front end grip around here. Now, how much speed can we get away with running through this uphill chicane? Quite a lot. You've got to be careful. You can take a lot of speed on the way through it, but then you often end up in a slightly wonky place for this very slow corner. So you can sometimes be a little better off slower through the fast uphill section to be neater later on in the lap. 100 miles an hour is always going to be pushing it. Oh, that could have gone really wrong. I thought that was going to be a big off for the BMW. We got away with it. I was being that was too brave, really, through there for the M6. We had a wheel on the grass. Wet grass and, well, race cars do not tend to go very well together. 1:11.9. Slightly scruffy lap though from me in this BMW. That I think was too late. Under braking. Oh. We're going to stop it, but only just. Yeah, I would not want to do that one. After the last car that went round here, the Fiesta, where I was using a different set of cones for braking, my brains just went into wrong mode there, and I very nearly was using the same marker as I was with the Fiesta, and the Fiesta was going a good 30 miles an hour slower than the M6. So, and a lot less weight in the Fiesta as well to slow down. So, yeah, that could have gone wrong, but no, the brakes are pretty solid. I did just about jump on them in time, although it hasn't been a fantastic middle sector through there. Now, don't go play in the grass, although I have left it a smidge late to get under braking. Well, it's better than it was, but still not very good. We can do better. We've got a couple of laps, though, to do better, and that is the important thing here as we head around the final corner. Can we just boot it in third? Not quite. There's a little bit of caution. Okay, a bit of caution is needed in third gear, but you can get it to full throttle there, 110.8. We're getting better. We're getting better. Right. Oh. They're really scary one. The brakes are actually pretty damn good at slowing the car down. My brain is shouting at me that I should be getting on the brakes earlier, but the car is capable. I mean, even that one there, I was perhaps a tiny bit early under braking. Yeah, your brain is absolutely screaming at me that you're going to have an accident, you're braking far too late there, but the car is capable of doing it. Now, can we be neat and tidy on the run up through this section? Well, the sign is not going to help matters. I may sacrifice this lap to punt that sign clear. We're going to be slow through here, however, that does mean that we have one more lap to really go for it. Yeah, if you clip the billboards, have them thrown onto the track, they can actually cause a lot of problems with throwing cars off course and costing you momentum and so on. So I will take the small bit of punishment this time around. That does put the pressure on me for this final lap if we're going to go quicker with the M6. Still wasn't fantastic around that fast left-hander, but there we go. Right, final lap. Be brave, under brakes down here, 175 miles an hour as we go to slow the M6 down. That is really very, very good under braking there. I'm really impressed with the BMW. It's up there with some of the fastest cars. Yeah, the Veyron almost gets 200 miles an hour, but with the power in the Bugatti in the four-wheel drive out of the final corner to sort of launch it on the straight, that is not surprising really. The likes of the Jaguar D-Type have only been doing 180 miles an hour, so the BMW is right up there in terms of speed. Right, we are going to try and be neat and tidy. Oh, I've overrun it ever so slightly there. Now we might be able to recover it. We're about on par with our previous fastest lap. I'm struggling at that S's section. Come on, we're better, I think, through there than we perhaps did on our fastest lap. Slow it down for these final couple of corners. It is a nasty final couple of corners, actually, around here to try and get right. It's sort of a double apex corner in some ways, but it's a relatively easy first part, a tighter second part. It is a good time from the BMW. There we go. More like it, a 10.3 from the M6. I know I could have gone a little bit better in that middle sector. It was, again, coming up towards, through the kind of uphill S's towards the very, very tight left-hander. That's where I was having little problems with the I don't know whether my driving style didn't quite suit the car, I just wasn't driving it very well. I lost a little bit perhaps up there. I'm not sure it would have been enough though to beat the Vanquish either way. The M6 though, I like it. I actually really quite like it. Fantastic turn, and you do have to be aware that the rear grip perhaps not quite as significant as we have seen from some cars. Still does pretty well though on traction, especially out of that final corner. Relatively easy to get to a full throttle, no problem among any of the bumps. Yeah, that's 110.3 will put the car into 7th place. It is about a second down on the Aston Martin Vanquish. However, it is quicker than the 550 Spider, the CTS-V, the Charger Hellcat, the Honda S2000. It's kind of in the area that I was expecting it to be. It is that crowded 1 minute 10. A good car. A very good car, actually, around here. It is now time, though, to find out just how quick the BMW will go in a straight line. So that means heading to Le Mans. Now, the BMW certainly doesn't have the most power out of all the vehicles that have gone, but it is relatively high up on the power front, and it's certainly nowhere near as bad, aerodynamically speaking, as the likes of the SUV. We haven't actually had a very quick car go lately. We've had like Fiestas and Lamborghini LMO02 and G-Wagon and so on, so this will be a nice, surprisingly quick change for this 221, it is reckoning. We're not going to see it do 270 miles an hour, no, but 233 looks pretty solid. Yeah, I think 233 is about all we are going to be getting out of the car. I also imagine / hope, well, we may have stalled it ever so slightly, that this will be one of the cars that has very little in the way of issues taking the bumps, aside from one moment of getting the car up onto two wheels, which at Virginia circuit is a little tougher than some tracks for getting the car up onto its side. I mean, this was never likely to roll over, but actually having it go up onto two wheels is more than a few vehicles have done. But aside from that, you know, it wasn't particularly bad across. It wasn't bad across any of the bumps. Oh, I'm taking some liberties with my speed around this section. Yeah, it's it holds up pretty well. It's even with me kind of sliding and bouncing the car across this very bumpy section, it's very easy to make mistakes here at this part of the track in these kind of crazy vehicles. Even that, it didn't twitch and try and throw me in the wall, which is always nice. And I look for that in a race car. 180 miles an hour before we get to the corner. No, it's not quite the sort of the 200 plus that we have seen from some of the very small, light, absurdly fast accelerating vehicles, but again, never quite expecting it to be able to do that as we get up to the 225 mile an hour mark. We're looking at 230. If we can do that, we might be doing all of this in 5th gear, I think, with the way that the ratios, I've kind of chewed the ratios, maybe we've extended them a bit too long. 231 miles an hour, 232 miles an hour now as we come up towards the corner. I'm not sure we're going to get any more. Oh, it got a little unsteady on the bumps. I get my foot, we only lost 10 miles an hour and all of that wiggling. I get my foot down and yeah, it was composed enough. It was composed enough. We just had that tiniest bit of oversteer and that section, it kind of exacerbated by the bumps, no doubt, around there. It's enough to send the back end out a little bit, but the car good enough to be got back under control. I didn't have to jump on the brakes either to try and do so. I could stay flat out and bring the car back to pointing in the right direction. So yeah, 232 miles an hour in the M6, solid, very solid. Straight line speed, yeah, it's never likely to be the most incredible of speeds compared to some of the vehicles that have gone. However, it is enough to put the car into 23rd place. It will tie with the Lotus Elan. It is quicker than the Challenger Hellcat down here, a mile an hour down on the Hot Wheels Mustang, the CTS-V, a couple of miles an hour down on the Charger Hellcat, interestingly. Yeah, a very solid, kind of a mid-table straight line speed from the BMW, kind of what we expected, and good fun around the track. You know, while it was the time that I sort of expected, perhaps with a PI and the sort of car, yeah, it's a good fun vehicle to drive, and I would recommend this one. I think it's yeah, it makes a good car. I think they look fantastic as well, and something you don't see used as often perhaps in Forza. However, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.